This tool is more sophisticated than the brightness contrast. This dialog has quite a few things inside, the most important of them being this area named Input Levels. The dialog histogram is informative, but this histogram right here inside the Levels dialog offers the ability for certain manipulations and on every specific channel independently of the others. So you can have at first a good look at the structure and at the same time make some adjustments. The dialog has two reset buttons. This resets all channels from the beginning, and this resets only the selected channel. When the dialog comes up at first, GIMP scans the current layer or selection and analyzes the channels one by one. Playing with the value pseudo channel, I can make adjustments on the tonality of the whole image. Playing with a color channel, I can make adjustments only on the specific channel. If the layer has transparency, I can play with the so-called alpha channel, the channel of transparency. So, for every of these channels, I can affect the distribution of pixel values. On the horizontal y-axis, I have the pixel values from 0 to 255, and on the vertical z-axis, the relative quantity of pixels on those values. Still more, on the y-axis, I have three little triangles that I can drag freely. The black point represents the darker pixel value. The white point represents the lighter pixel value, and the gray point represents the middle value between the other two. Dragging the black point, I force all pixels with values less than a specific one to become black. Dragging the white point, I force all pixels with values more than a specific one to become white. And dragging the gray point, all values between the specific range of the two values, black point and white point, are proportionally recalculated. It is important to understand this function of the gray point. Dragging to the left means that all values increase, so my image gets lighter. Dragging to the right means that all values decrease, so my image gets darker. On both these movements of the gray point, both values at the end remain untouched. So, with the gray point, I can affect the brightness of the image without the danger of losing tones neither on the shadows nor on the highlights. This was not the case on the brightness contrast tool, on which adjustments on the one side have the danger of losing data on the other side, values shifted that way in a linear way. Instead, with this tool, values can be shifted proportionally. Okay, in this picture now, after the gray point, let me talk a little bit about the two extreme points, the black point and the white point. If I drag any of the two extreme points inside the area where information exists, that is to say pixel values on the y-axis, this action will force some clipping either on the one side or the other, and this is something certainly undesirable, since no tones should be lost in the technical sense. When we shoot photographs, we try to capture, if possible, all tones inside the frame. And now on post-processing, certainly we do not want to make things worse by shadow clipping or highlight clipping. But at the same time, on the other side of the problem, if I drag one of these sliders outside of the area where information exists, I am forcing some values to get the same value. So I am losing contrast and my image becomes more flat. So we might say that a safe thing to do is the following as a rule of thumb at first. With the levels tool and on the value pseudo channel, I drag the black point where the values begin, then drag the white point where the values end, and then with the gray point adjust the brightness a bit. With these three actions at first, you can get a tonally balanced image. Now, further down the levels dialog, there are a few things, but I suggest that a beginner should stay away from them. I will now try to explain the idea put in the beginning of this lesson with the tool and not with the eye. It implies that in the strict technical sense, you should trust your computer more than your own eyes. Right here, GIMP reveals to me the actual numerical data that comprise this image in an objective way, in an absolutely objective way, but my physical vision is naturally subjective. I reset. This image looks underexposed at first. The girl is certainly underexposed and the whole image is underexposed. Looking carefully at the histogram, I can see that there has been no shadow clipping. So it seems that the exposure was not mistaken by my camera. It just seems that the light conditions were flat. So the histogram is shifted to the left without any shadow clipping. Let me try the levels tool. Drag the right point at the end of the information and the black point at the beginning of the information. This is certainly a major improvement. This way I made the histogram to spread across the whole dynamic range. I can see now with my action the histogram starting at the starting point, going up and ending normally at the end point. Of course, gaps appear because some intermediate tones are now missing. It may seem strange, yes, but on these actions I firstly trust the histogram here and then secondly my own eyes. And after the white point and the black point, I can play a bit with the gray point to adjust the brightness. After this initial general tonality adjustment, I can step down to the channels one by one to adjust the color a bit. By dragging the three sliders, I can see what's happening on my image. This way I can play with the color a bit. Now let us see the levels tool on another example image. We have seen this image in the previous video. This is a certainly wrongly exposed, overexposed shot. The histogram is severely pushed to the right and there is highlight clipping. Okay, now in this bad thing, if I drag the black point where the information begins, I have a great improvement. This example shows that sometimes a greatly mistaken photo can be saved. It can be made acceptable. And lastly, for now, there is in this dialog as well a button named Edit these settings as curves, with which I can immediately transfer the current settings I have possibly made to the next and the last tool, which is the curves, and we are going to see it in the next video.